He is here live with us in Studio B on WNCW, and he's got another song.
Yeah.
There's a standoff all across the Great Divide, with friends and family members on both sides. Someone struck a match, it would combust, scorching everyone, both them and us. It's raining dirty words and disrespect. It's not having any positive effect. The bridges have collapsed because of rust. We can't reach each other, them and us. We've got our earplugs in and our blinders on, and we wonder, where have all the flowers gone? Where once there was a garden, cool and lush. All that's left here now is them and us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. Our differences are few and overblown, and it sometimes leads to punches being thrown. Well, there seems to be a few things to discuss, but you can't say a word to them or us. We write them off because of how they vote, and we write them off because they came on a boat, and we turn our backs with contempt and with disgust at every one of them who isn't us. We identify them by the clothes they wear. We identify them by their skin and hair. And we look for any reason not to trust whatever about them is not like us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us and them. Look what it's done to us. Thoughtful, decent people turning mean. If only all our gods could intervene. Well, there must be some controls they could adjust. Maybe they could make us whole, them and us. And I've never felt so lonely in this world as I do when all those banners are unfurled and the airwaves are just spewing all that stuff about us us and them. Look what it's done to us. There's a standoff all across the Great Divide, with friends and family members on both sides.
Them and us and them. Chuck Brodsky here on WNCW, and well, 3 songs in a row that are of the topical nature, but also what those songs have in common to me is they are songs that every time I hear them, I feel like I get something new out of them, and I picture that the songwriting of those, that they just kind of come to you all in one big flood, and you just sit down and just like the muse speaks to you, and this great poetry and brilliant ideas of rhyming certain words together. It just kind of comes together in one sitting. But I know that might not be the case at all.
It's really not.
It's really not? Okay.
Once in a blue moon, things will just come like a deluge.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I slug my way through it. And, I'm a big believer in editing and revisions. And,
all right.
And so that phase is what really takes the longest, and that's the difference, I guess, between a song that could be done in a few hours and a song that doesn't end up being finished for several weeks or months. Because, often there's always something that you can find, or that I can find, that I can twist, tweak, tighten up a little bit, make the syllables line up better, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, I still think of the time, the story of before I started working here, when we used to have an acoustic holiday at the Crossroads, and folks would come in here like you to play holiday songs in December, and
that was so
it was a
great.
fun little hootenanny, and we'd make these records, compilations, CDs, and what was it? You came in like the night before you realized you didn't know what you were going to do, and you just kind of threw together a song, and it ended up being just an absolute classic called "On Christmas I Got Nothing."
That was really something, because I had no idea if it was any good.
Yeah.
I thought, it'll be fun. It'll serve the purpose. I'm sure even if it's not great, it'll work for that. And I had no idea that it would live beyond that one afternoon. But I had a show soon after that at the Gray Eagle, and people were calling out for that song, and I was kind of like, really? But, that's another one every year becomes relevant again.
It sure does. And that's one of the ones on one of your albums there from the 90s. In the 90s, I mean, that's when I met you, and you were living in San Francisco at the time,
Yeah.
and I was up in Oregon doing radio. And folks, I credit this man here, Chuck Brodsky, largely for inspiring me to move here, because you moved to the Asheville area, and I connected with you back then to visit the area, and then you helped convince me to come check out this WNCW place. So I thank you for that.
I remember when you came and applied and interviewed for this very job.
Yep. And I called you and said, "What do you think of this station?" You said, "I like it all right."
I like it all right. Yeah, you guys have been very good to me for a long, long time. Even before you came on board.
More than those 22 years or so, because you've been here you said 29 years.
And even before I came here to live, I was coming here for a couple of years to perform, and would pop into the studio as well.
So maybe WNCW inspired you to move to the area in part.
Well, it did. It was a big part, no question about it. And so was the little community of fellow singer-songwriters that I knew, mainly from going to the Kerrville Folk Festival in Texas, but there are lots of them. Most of them are a few are still around. David Lamott's still around.
Yeah.
We lost Jimmy Landry. The Billies, Billy Jonas and Bill Mellinson, they were regulars at Kerrville. I'm trying to think who else. Susie Katz.
Oh, yeah.
Lots and lots of people from from 25, 30 years ago that would go to Kerrville. So I realized I already had a little community of friends here, and then such a strong, wonderful, and welcoming radio station.
Right. Was Malcolm Holcomb part of the Kerrville scene at all?
No, I never officially met Malcolm until he crashed my wedding.
He what?
Yeah, he crashed my wedding. I had a wedding party at the Gray Eagle years and years ago, and he showed up and told me he was crashing. If I had known him, I surely would have invited him.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't know him at the time. But
He told you that he was going to crash it.
no, he just showed up.
He did just
and
show
introduced himself and
Okay.
told me he was crashing my.
And, what are you going to say? No?
Beautiful.
Yeah, all right, cool. There is, for those that don't know, he passed away, what was it, a few months ago now, still.
Terrible loss.
Yeah, not too long ago. It still feels fresh because he provided so much to the singer-songwriter scene of Western North Carolina and the world, really. And there is a nice, what's shaping up to be a nice-sounding tribute to him at that AVL Fest. When it wraps up next week on Sunday evening, there'll be a nice tribute to him at the Wortham Center.
Great.
A lot of folks will be there.
Great.
We are talking with Chuck Brodsky here, and let's see, but you're originally from Philly, and then you lived in the Bay Area, and now you've been here for a long time. You're still a Phillies fan all throughout.
I am.
You know your baseball better than anyone I know. You probably like the Braves and the Giants a little bit.
Oh, come on.
What?
Well, the Giants, maybe.
Okay.
No, I respect the Braves, and I appreciate the Braves. They just happen to be in the same division as the Phillies and kind of arch rivals, but I do appreciate the Braves. They're a first-class organization. And
That was well said and very diplomatic, Chuck.
I mean,
And it's true.
you can't really hate them.
No.
Like in the same way that you could hate the Yankees.
Yeah, that's a whole different class. Well, are you pleased with how your Phillies are doing?
Very.
Yeah.
The last couple weeks have been a little bit of a slide, but we still have the best record in baseball for the time being.
Yeah. Not bad, not bad. There was a neat story on Morning Edition here on NPR about them. If you haven't heard it yet, you probably look it up. But it was pretty funny talk about what's not to love about the Phillies. There's plenty to love about them, just their character, not just their record.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. So you got some new baseball songs on the way for folks, or other topical songs, or
I've been working on a couple of baseball songs. They're not finished yet.
okay.
I have a new one that I'll sing tonight at the White Horse.
All right. Good. Cool.
Yeah, I actually hadn't written much over the last maybe couple of years. I invested my time more in recouping my piano playing skills, which went dormant for a lot of years because I didn't have access to one. And then finally, a few years ago, I came across the very first digital pianos that sounded right and played right, felt right. And so I got back into it. I've been letting ideas stew until I'm sure of what exactly I want to say, but my time mainly has gone into playing my pianos, and I do that for myself mainly. I do it in shows some now.
Wow.
A couple of songs here and there. I'm not sure if I'll bring the piano tonight or not. We'll see. But it's my private joy really that I'm bringing forward to the point where I can start sharing it.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We just had a blues singer and piano player yesterday here in Studio B, Eden Brent, and one of the things she talked about was how the live music the live music scene and patterns have changed over the years, and one of them being that pianos just aren't as accessible anymore in people's homes and maybe at venues as well. But she has a portable electric keyboard that I think sounds great.
At this stage, I really prefer the digital pianos, even to a really nice, beautiful concert grand. They always feel like a massive beast that needs to be tamed. And you have to figure out each one. But with the nice thing about the digital keyboards is if you're bringing it with you, you have the consistency of the same instrument night after night, just like a guitar player would have. And in fact, that's exactly why I became a guitar player. I started out as a piano player. My first handful of gigs back in college were all exclusively on piano. And I realized that if I was going to be a touring musician, this was before the digital piano was invented, I realized I would just be at the mercy of whatever condition the pianos might be in, venue to venue. And I had seen some horrible ones in my day, so I realized I needed to make the switch to guitar, and it was going to be many years of a process learning how to play it. And then in doing that, I shifted so far over that the piano got away from me. And you know, the wonderful thing is a decent sounding digital piano now doesn't cost very much money.
Good.
And you can buy used ones on Craigslist for next to nothing. So I bought a couple during the pandemic so I could have them spread out around my house, and I literally have one on my kitchen counter.
Sure.
So
Convenient.
Someone's cooking.
Yeah, good. And the inspiration hits. Yeah, lay it down. Cool.
Why not?
Yeah. Good tips from Chuck Brodsky here.